Hey everyone, hope you're all doing good with the whole virus outbreak thing. It's a good chance to take the time and do a little extra vehicle maintenance, and I thought I'd take this time to put this video out on doing the fuel filter. It's a little bit of an odd process having to get down into the fuel tank, but it wasn't bad at all. I have never done it to this car, and Subaru's going to tell you that you should be doing this every 72,000 miles. You know, if your fuel filter gets a little clogged up, full of dirt, you're going to have your engine running rough. It could be low on power. I've had it before with other cars, so it's something you really want to do. Unfortunately, the filter, it's a little pricey, but I would recommend doing it at 100,000 miles. I don't think it's gonna probably give you a problem before then. I wanted to throw in some extra video at the end too. I cut open the internal filter and took a look at that. It actually didn't look too bad, just generally dirty. So it's a good thing to do. It's not too hard. I think anybody can do it. Just be careful, you're working around gas, it's flammable. Let's keep this simple and let's get to it. I hope you enjoy this video, guys. If you do, hit subscribe. Okay, to start, let's pop the hood and get into the fuse box on the driver's side of the engine bay. Then locate the fuel pump fuse. You can use the white supplied fuse pliers in the box to pull out the fuse. Once the fuse is out, you need to try and run your car for as long as you can. If it dies, try starting it again. We're trying to run down the fuel pressure in the fuel line. Scoot your seats forward for a little extra room. And we're going to start taking out the rear seat. Just under the front, there are two clips that if you just pull on them, it will pop loose the rear seat. Just like this. Now it's hard to see, but under the rear seat there's a hook and a loop, and it's kind of tricky to get off, but you just need to push down and then pull the seat forward, as shown. Once you get the seat free, go ahead and pull it out and put it in a safe spot. We're going to be working on the passenger side access to the fuel tank, so we'll remove that next. It looks like I have a little hitchhiker in there. Something built a little nest. It's a good idea to clean this area anyway. You don't want a bunch of dirt or dust getting into your fuel tank. When you pull off your fuel lines, you might get a little fuel, which isn't that big a deal. Apparently, I didn't bleed off enough pressure from my fuel hose, and I had to go get a little jar and quickly take it off and let it drain into the jar. If you run your car a little bit more than I did, you'll probably alleviate a lot of this pressure. Once you get the fuel lines off, you can pull off all of the nuts and go ahead and pull out the fuel filter and pump assembly. It's going to drain a little fuel out, just be patient and do the best you can. Have a container ready to go that you can put it in. because you don't want to get a bunch of fuel in your car. It could stink for a while. The inside of my fuel tank looked pretty clean. You can see the inlet there, but it really is quite clean. It's a good idea to put a rag on top of the opening to keep stuff from falling in there. Now, don't get stressed here. Just familiarize yourself a little bit with the fuel filter assembly, and we're basically just going to be taking off the exterior body and then switching all of the parts over to the new filter and putting the body back on. Take off the rubber seal. I'm going to be reusing mine because once I saw the price of a new one, I was like, no way. Gently remove the wires and unplug the connections. And then remove that lower hose. Be careful not to damage the fuel level sender. It's a little bit of a delicate item. Then you can push down on the body and remove the circlip. And there's 3 clips around the fuel filter housing to the outer body that just need to be popped off. Once you get those off, the filter is going to start to come free. With a pair of pliers and a little effort, you can pull out the lower tube assembly, and at this point, pretty much the whole thing's going to come out of the body. Now we just have to focus on moving all the parts over from the old filter to the new filter. To start, we need to take off the lower inlet screen, and there's a series of 5 clips that need to come off somewhat together. Once you get them all started, the whole screen will come right off. Push the pump out with the screwdriver from the top. Feed the wires all the way through. And once you get it out, you'll see that there's an O-ring inside. We're going to need to gently pull that out, make sure it looks good, and put it into the new filter. Then you can install the fuel pump into the new filter. Just feed the wires through. And make sure that little white spacer is on the pump. And you can just push the pump right up in there. And place the wires into their little clip. Next, you just need to pop out the pressure regulator. Wet the O-rings with a little bit of fuel and put it into the new filter. Before I installed the inlet screen, I cleaned it off with a little bit of carburetor cleaner. Make sure you put a little fuel on the inlet screen to lubricate the seal and press it onto the bottom of the new assembly. Make sure that all 5 of those clips are secure. There's a filter body clip on the old housing that needs to be removed and transferred over to the new one. Now we're ready to install the filter assembly into the body. Don't be overwhelmed by this, just take it slow and start with the lower tube assembly and try and get it really close. Then you'll want to focus on the 3 fuel filter body clips that need to be lined up and secured. Make sure your spring is installed on the rod with the circlip groove. And push the 2 guide rods into the body. Depress it enough so that you can install the circlip. Make sure that all of your plastic clips are secured. And then you can push the lower tube assembly into its position. Make sure it pops in. Install the lower hose and make sure that the hose goes through the guide and then clips securely on at the end. Some of the hoses might need a little bit of repositioning. Just use your best judgment here. And then we can focus on getting the wires back into their clip and install the plugins. I recommend cleaning up the seal if you're reusing it. And then install it onto the assembly. And I also recommend cleaning the top plate and the ring. Note that the ring fits into the top plate's notch. And now you're ready to install back into the car. Wipe the seal area clean and install the fuel filter assembly into the tank. Position it as necessary and then install the top ring and top plate. You're going to need to push down on the fuel filter assembly and then install a couple of nuts just finger tight. Then you can install the rest of the nuts, get them all finger tight, and then you can torque the nuts in a crisscross pattern to about 3 to 4 foot-pounds. Now you can reinstall the fuel lines and push the little green clip down. Make sure that they're nice and securely installed. Don't forget to plug in the electrical connection. Reinstall your fuel pump fuse and start your car. It might run rough at first, but then the RPMs will pick back up. And then you want to go look for any leaks. If everything looks good, you can install the top cover. And get the seat bottom installed. And don't forget to install the fuse box top cover. And that's pretty much it, you guys. Congratulations. So after everything was said and done, I had a little fun and cut open the old filter. Here you can see kind of what it's made of, what it looks like, and I got some dirty fuel out of it. I definitely think this should be done every 100,000 miles. I wish it was an external filter that you could do more often and a lot easier, but we're just going to have to do with what they gave us. Alright, I hope this video helped you guys out. Leave any questions or comments below and I'll be sure to get to them. Thanks for watching, guys.